Hey everyone, the topic of today's speech will be about poverty in Brazil and the possible impacts the 2016 Olympics could have on the people living in poverty. This is an informative as well as a persuasive speech, and hopefully by the end of the speech it will make you question and think about some things that you will hear. I'm not an expert on this topic, but I've done a fair amount of research on it, and I would like to share with you the interesting facts and ideas I've gathered in my research. Point number one, poverty in Brazil. According to the CIA World Factbook, 21.2% of the Brazilian population is living below the poverty line, and 4.2% of the population is living below the extreme poverty line. The extreme poverty line are people that earn less than $1.25 per day. According to UNICEF, 42% of the Brazilian children are living below the poverty line. That's almost half of the Brazilian children living below the poverty line. And 1/8 of the Brazilian children are living in the streets. So basically, the 1/8 is homeless. Now, I want to show you a picture that shows the poor conditions of the families facing poverty living. Also, I would like to show you another picture which shows the gap between the rich and the poor population in Rio. And it can all be seen in one picture of one road in Rio. So in this picture, you can see this beautiful view on one side of the luxury buildings surrounded by tennis courts and every apartment having its own personal private swimming pool. And right across the street, you see these poor conditions families facing poverty live in. Point number two, the coming of the 2016 Olympics to Rio could actually bring more harm than good to the people facing poverty. It was originally estimated that the Olympic budget was supposed to be $2.93 billion. And recently it is estimated that it is $13.2 billion. Although the mayor of Rio claims that 57% of the fundings will be by private enterprise, unfortunately the 43% left will fall on the shoulders of Brazilian taxpayers, and not everyone can afford to pay those taxes. Another problem is that many families and many people are forced to leave their homes. The reason for this is the scarcity of land in Rio. According to The Guardian, 3,000 families are forced to leave their homes in order to make space for the Olympic project to be constructed and built. Also, 67,000 people have been forced to leave their homes for the same reason. In this picture, you will see how the Olympic project is supposed to look like. As you can see from the line that the skyscrapers and the buildings stop and the Olympic project starts, in that area it was supposed, families were supposed to be living, poor families were in that area, but because of the scarcity of land, they have been kicked out of their homes, so the arenas, stadiums and other things for Olympic Games to occur could be built. Third point, should the Brazil government spend its Olympic budget on trying to solve poverty instead of spending it on the creation of Olympic Games? 13.2 billion could be spent to build orphanages for the children, the homeless children. As I said before, 1/8 of the children in Brazil are homeless and are living in the streets. So 13.2 billion would actually benefit those children a lot. For conclusion, I would like you to think about my point number one, facts about poverty in Brazil, and my second point, which was the harms that the 2016 Olympics could bring to the people facing poverty. And I would like you to question yourself and answer the following question. Should the government spend the money on building the Olympic project, or should it spend the money helping solve the poverty problem?